Kristin, and I'll be responding to the claim that drinking 5 to 10 ounces of red wine will improve your health. My opponent's first secondary claim was that red wine can reduce the risk of coronary heart disease and cancer due to resveratrol, and his second claim was that red wine is filled with other beneficial antioxidants like flavonoids and isoflavonoids. However, I'm going to be going against this claim, and my proposition is that drinking red wine is not beneficial to your health. We always hear in the news on research that studies that drinking red wine daily is good for you. When getting this as my refutation speech, I was a little worried thinking I wasn't able to dig up any information, but hopefully I'll be able to some unknown facts. My first claim will be in response to the first secondary claim from my opponent, and red wine can increase the risk of cancer. And my second claim is that red wine doesn't have a consistent amount of beneficial antioxidants. So my first claim is red wine can increase the risk of cancer. According to the Yahoo Health article and by my opponent, red wine increases estrogen levels. Red wine contains alcohol, and it's known that alcohol can raise estrogen, but by raising estrogen levels, it can actually raise tumor progression in some women and/or make women more at risk for developing breast cancer. In a research study by the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Professor John Folt states it contains alcohol, which is pro-inflammatory and pro-oxidant substance, and which may increase risk factors for heart disease. Also, according to Dominique Maranici of France's National Cancer Institute, or the INCA, small daily doses of alcohol are the most harmful. There is no amount, however small, which is good for you. The INCA also did a study and found that drinking red wine had very little evidence that it had any other specific benefits over other alcoholic beverages. They also state there are other ways for looking after your heart. Just a small amount of alcohol, whether it be from beer or wine, it increases your chances for several different types of cancer. Just to name a few, there's a possibility of mouth cancer, esophagus, colon, and breast cancer. This is because wine contains ethanol, which is transformed in alcohol by oxidizing it and creating acetaldehyde, which is normally found in bread, coffee, etc. But in alcohol, it's believed to be the cause of hangovers. But my point is that acetaldehyde in wine damages DNA in healthy cells, which puts the body at risk for these different types of cancers. My opponent also states that resveratrol reduces risk of cancer. It acts as a blood thinner. However, in an article by Dr. Stephen Barrett, even though resveratrol is found to prevent cancer, the research on it was only focused on short-term effects and were only done in vitro or laboratory studies on non-human models. And then the INCA also claimed that drinking just 1 glass of wine a day can increase the risk of cancer by 168%. So this goes against the advocate's claim that drinking red wine reduces the risk of cancer. My second and last claim is that red wine doesn't have a consistent amount of these beneficial antioxidants. My opponent claims that red wine contains flavonoids that reduce low-density lipoprotein, or in other words, the bad cholesterol. But according to Professor John Folt, who I mentioned earlier, he also states that, yes, red wine contains these flavonoids, but the amount of flavonoids to alcohol in red wine, or the ratio, can determine whether the wine is going to be heart healthy or possibly harmful, or it just might neutral and have no positive or negative effects. If the red wine contains a large amount of these flavonoids, then they can overcome the negative effects of alcohol, therefore making the red wine good for you. However, many red wines do not contain enough of these flavonoids to overcome the negative effects of alcohol. Therefore, there's little to no gain in consuming the red wine. Red wine contains isoflavonoids, which I stated earlier increases estrogen, but it's not only found in red wine. You can get isoflavonoids by eating soybeans or other soy products, which could possibly have a greater effect than drinking red wine. All the different types of wine are made differently, so there isn't a standard amount for any type of anything in the wine. The concentration in the wine is variable, according to Dr. Barrett. But to increase the consumption of red wine just to obtain these beneficial antioxidants is unwise and not recommended. In conclusion, I restate my position that drinking red wine does not benefit your health. Red wine can actually increase your risk for cancer, and even though red wine contains some good antioxidants and some beneficial substances, it's not enough to actually improve your health. There are other ways of getting the same effect. Therefore, you shouldn't believe my opponent's claim that drinking red wine will improve your health. Thank you.
All right, you labeled the claim very clearly in the secondary points. You give us a general idea about how your response is going to be contradictory to the position. Then you do your signposting as you get in there, so all the structural stuff is really solid. I thought your response on the first point, at first it sounded like it was going to be a little generic and not specific to the claim being presented by the advocate, but the second piece of evidence is very applicable, and you explain it very well. And then there's some follow-up information on cancer risk that I thought was also excellent, that really puts the idea into context. And then on your second point, I think that's the point that's most applicable to the advocate's claim. You did a good job explaining why the variety of amounts of the flavonoids and other benefits in the wines create problems, that there in fact might be risks that come along with it that have the opposite effect, and I thought that that argument was really well developed. You could probably talk a little bit more about the evidence and the reasoning that the advocate used, but you've got good counterclaims on both of these points. All right, thank you.